right, dozens of Australian tanks will be saved from the scrap heap and given to Ukraine following a year-long campaign to secure the machinery. 49 Abrams tanks will be sent to Kyiv in a deal that takes Australia's total support for the country beyond $1.5 billion. That's cash and kind. For more, I'm joined now by Australia's former Chief of Army, retired General Peter Leahy. Well, Peter Leahy, thank you for your time. They've been asking for 12 months to get their hands on these tanks. Why do you think it's taken us so long for the government to agree to send them?
Peter, thanks for inviting me on. It's hard to fathom this. It's taken very long. We've had a similar example with the Tiger helicopters that never got there. In fact, they're buried somewhere in North Queensland. I can understand why it took a little while, or might have taken a little while, because we've been waiting for the new tanks to arrive. Well, I think there's about 27 or 29 of them in country. They've been here a little while. We could have been moving the old tanks incrementally towards Ukraine. We know that they're needed there, and anyone who's been in the military would tell you that tanks save lives. And we want to save Ukrainian lives. They're in the fight of their life over there. They're fighting against the autocratic Russia. They're fighting against an illegal, immoral invasion, and we should be helping them as much as we can. So it's a bit hard to fathom. I can understand in some ways that we wanted to make sure that the end user certificate, and that's the Americans who sold us the tanks, want to know where they're going. Well, that's not real hard. The Americans have got 31 of their own M1 tanks there as well. So it's not as though we're introducing something new to the battlefield. And if I think about it long enough, I think maybe Australia just overthinks these sorts of things. We're in a fight, a generational fight against an autocratic power, and we should be helping Ukraine and others who are involved around the world as much as we can, or else they're looking for us next.
You probably know more about these tanks than anyone. You were Chief of Army when they were actually introduced. So help us understand why tanks make such a difference in this fight against Russia. How will they compare against the stock we're seeing Russia use?
Well, put simply, they're a better tank, and the stock that the Russians are using predominantly is the T-90 tank. It's a lighter tank. It's not as fully armoured. It moves around the battlefield well, but the Russians are losing a lot of them. Any tank has got firepower, mobility and manoeuvrability. It's got the ability to pick the target out by day or by night. They've got thermal sights and so on. The M1 tank has got about the best protection, that is armoured protection, around. So it just means that next to you, you've got something that can provide protection. It can fire with its 120mm cannon a long distance and exceptionally accurately. The Russian tanks are not as good. They can't fire a killing shot at the sorts of distances that our tanks can. We've seen on the battlefield the T-14, which is a prototype tank from Russia. Armata is its name. It was meant to be the tank that would replace the T-90. It's very seldom seen on the battlefield. It gives us a suggestion that it's not all that good and they don't want it there. If you've got a tank next to you on the battlefield, you're feeling pretty comfortable because you've got that protection, you've got the firepower, you've got the communications, and you've got the mobility, and it makes a big difference.
So this begs a question then. It wasn't long ago that we gave them 100 Bushmasters, but we've got about 1,000 Bushmasters rusting away in a shed in Brisbane. We've got the retirement, obviously, you mentioned there, of those Tiger helicopters. We've got Hawkeyes we could also send. What else can we give to the Ukrainians, and why don't we just get on with it?
Well, I'm sure we're doing a survey and we probably know what we can give, but the point is to make the decision. And as I said, I think we just overthink this. There are too many people involved in it. If you get down to basics here, our allies, and Ukraine is an ally, are fighting a generational fight. We should be helping them as much as we can and not thinking about it too much, but moving as much equipment there as we can. They certainly need ammunition. We're doing some training in the United Kingdom, and I think that's a good thing, but I think there's more that can be done, particularly when we see some of the NATO countries and other countries sort of equivocating on what they're going to be doing. I think it's time for us to really step up and help them out.
You're not wrong, General Leahy. I really appreciate your time tonight.